Everyone has an answer before the question finishes. Audi or Lamborghini, and people respond like they've known since childhood. The Audi crowd talks about engineering, restraint, the quiet confidence of not needing to be noticed. The Lamborghini crowd doesn't talk. They just smile. But both answers come from the same place. A version of each brand that was constructed for you, refined over decades, and delivered through advertising, culture, and carefully managed mythology. What neither brand puts in the brochure is the part that actually determines what you're buying. This is what the choice looks like before the marketing gets there first. Audi's public identity was built on a single idea, that sophistication doesn't need to announce itself. The Quattro system, the precision of the S-line, the interior quality that reviewers describe as benchmark setting, these aren't accidents. They are the product of decades of deliberate positioning. Audi wanted to own the space between accessible luxury and genuine engineering credibility. And largely, it succeeded. Walk into a room and mention you drive an Audi, and nobody flinches. That's the point. The brand was designed to signal taste without provoking a reaction. Lamborghini was designed to provoke exactly that reaction. The Lamborghini identity is theater. In the purest sense, the scissor doors, the aggressive bodywork, the engine note calibrated to make bystanders stop mid-sentence. Where Audi whispers, Lamborghini announces. Where Audi suggests restraint, Lamborghini treats restraint as a failure of imagination. These are not just different cars. They are different philosophies about what a car is supposed to do to the person standing next to it. That distinction is real. What's less advertised is where the two philosophies actually originate and who owns them both. In 1998, Volkswagen Group acquired Lamborghini. Audi had already been part of the same group for decades. What that means structurally for engineering, for platform development, for the decisions that determine what each car is allowed to be, is not something either brand foregrounds in its marketing. The acquisition is documented. The implications are not discussed in showrooms. This is where the first number matters. Lamborghini's global production volume sits at roughly 10,000 units per year. Audi produces closer to 1.9 million. Those aren't just scale differences. They reflect entirely different cost architectures, development cycles, and relationships between what a car costs to build and what it costs to buy. The gap in sticker price between an entry Audi and an entry Lamborghini is significant. The gap in what each car costs to own over 5 years is a different conversation entirely, and it doesn't always run in the direction buyers assume. Independent ownership data tells a consistent story. Lamborghini's depreciation curve is steep in the first 3 years for most models outside a small group of limited production exceptions. Audi's depreciation is aggressive, too faster than many buyers expect for a brand positioned as a long-term investment in quality. Industry analysts who track cost of ownership across luxury and performance segments have noted that neither brand's real-world financial profile matches the image each has cultivated. Lamborghini is sold as an appreciating trophy. Audi is sold as engineering value. The data supports both claims selectively and undermines both claims in equal measure. What the dealerships acknowledge, when pressed, is that maintenance costs are non-trivial for both. What they don't foreground is the asymmetry. Audi's service costs are significant for a mainstream luxury brand. Lamborghini's service costs occupy a different category entirely, one that buyers focused on the purchase price rarely factor into the decision with full precision. A Huracan owner reporting annual maintenance figures will describe numbers that reframe the sticker price as the beginning of the financial relationship, not the peak of it. That information exists in owner forums, in long-term review data, in the testimony of people who've held these cars past the first year. It doesn't appear with equivalent prominence in the materials designed to close the sale. The cost structures of both brands were shaped by decisions made at the corporate level, decisions about platform investment, about which technologies get shared across the group, and which get ring-fenced for exclusivity. Understanding what you're actually buying from either brand requires understanding those decisions first. The manufacturer's position on all of this is consistent. Lamborghini describes itself as a manufacturer of super sports cars, uncompromising, handcrafted, distinct. Audi describes itself as delivering progressive premium mobility, rooted in technology and long-term engineering investment. Both descriptions are accurate. Neither description accounts for what happens when you map those identities against the shared infrastructure that makes both brands possible. The language is precise. It is also carefully bounded. What Volkswagen Group engineering actually means for both brands is this: platform sharing is not incidental. It is structural. The Lamborghini Urus, the brand's highest volume product by a significant margin, rides on the same MLB Evo platform used by the Audi Q7, the Porsche Cayenne, and the Bentley Bentayga. The components aren't identical. The engineering differentiation is real. But the foundation is shared, and that foundation was a group-level decision, not a Lamborghini decision. Industry analysts who cover the VAG Group's platform strategy have documented this in detail. Lamborghini's own communications describe the Urus as a car that could only come from Lamborghini. They do not describe the platform it stands on. This is the architecture of the illusion, not a deception exactly, but a managed distance. Both brands need the gap between them to feel absolute. Audi needs Lamborghini to remain unreachable because unreachability validates the aspiration ladder that Audi sits a few rungs below. Lamborghini needs Audi to remain categorically separate because the exclusivity premium depends on the perception that nothing at this price point shares DNA with something a doctor drives to work on Tuesday. The gap is maintained because it is commercially necessary for both. That is a different thing from the gap being engineered from the ground up by two entirely independent philosophies. Automotive journalists who've spent extended time with both brands note the convergence in interior technology, in driver interface logic, in the way certain components behave across price points that are supposed to be worlds apart. The official response from either brand, when this is raised, moves quickly toward heritage, toward the distinctiveness of the driving experience, toward what makes each car irreducibly itself. Those answers are not wrong. They are also not complete. So the original question, Audi or Lamborghini, was never quite the question it appeared to be. It was always a question about which version of a story you find more compelling. The engineering story, the excess story, the responsible luxury story, the consequence-free spectacle story. Both brands are selling a distance from ordinary, from compromise, from the version of yourself that couldn't afford the choice in the first place. What sits underneath that distance is a corporate structure, a platform strategy, and a set of financial realities that neither brand surfaces unless you go looking. Neither car is a fraud, neither choice is wrong. But the information available at the point of decision is not the same as the information that exists. The brochure and the ownership forum are describing the same car from positions that don't fully overlap. The depreciation data and the marketing materials are not in conversation with each other. And the platform underneath the Urus and the platform underneath the Q7 will not appear in the same sentence in any document either brand produces voluntarily. Audi or Lamborghini? The answer depends entirely on which version of the story you were given and whether you knew there was another one.